Okay, hello everyone. Welcome to our special executive level webcast series and welcome to Autodesk 2013. My name is Laura Guzman. I am Vice President of Marketing here at MicroDesk, and I want to thank you for joining today as we take a look at the 2013 edition of Revit MEP. Just a few moments, I'll be turning it over to our presenters today, but I wanted to go over just a couple of logistics first. In order to minimize any background distractions, you are all on mute for the duration of the session. We will not have time for Q&A today, but if you have any questions, please do feel free to type them into that questions toolbar at the bottom of your screen. We'll be happy to get back to you after the presentation. We'll also provide you with our contact information at the end of the session, so feel free to reach out to us if you have any questions or concerns, and we'll look forward to reaching out to you. All right, well with that, without any further ado, I will turn it over to our first presenter, Mike DeLacy, President of MicroDesk, and he'll be kicking off our presentation today. Mike.
Thanks, Laura, and again, welcome everybody to Autodesk 2013. Before we jump into all the great new features in Autodesk's newest release, a little bit about MicroDesk. I think most of you are familiar with us. MicroDesk is an Autodesk Gold partner. We are also an Oracle Gold partner, specializing in the Primavera project management and project control software. And as of this year, we are Autodesk's North American Channel Partner of the Year, and we're real proud to get that recognition from Autodesk and based on all the work that we've been doing in the architecture, engineering, construction, and owner-operator industries. As an organization, MicroDesk has 12 offices. We have 7 offices on the East Coast from southern New Hampshire to Washington, D.C. Our newest office is in Chicago, and we have 4 offices on the West Coast that are in Los Angeles, Irvine, Fresno, and San Francisco. All told, we are just over 90 consulting specialists and software developers that are dedicated to providing technology to streamline the project delivery process within the AECO industry. When we look at the Autodesk 2013 release of software, you'll see marketing and some advertising from MicroDesk where we draw an analogy between the software industry and the automobile industry. And we do that for a reason, and it's predominantly to get people to recognize how far design, construction, and operations and maintenance technology has come over the last few years. When you think about the cars that we drove not too long ago, we drove big, kind of clunky gas guzzlers that were not very well connected or very well integrated. And today, when you look at the cars that we drive, we're driving, hybrid or electric vehicles that are getting in excess of 100 miles a gallon, and they're very, very well integrated and connected. When you think about the fact that we're using GPS systems to help us navigate, that we're streaming internet music right into our cars, they've taken a major leap from a technology perspective, and we believe that Autodesk, especially with their 2013 release, has done similar. The 3 things that we think are most compelling and most significant about Autodesk's 2013 release is how well integrated the products are, how well they interoperate together when you look at some of the features between Revit and Navisworks and Civil 3D and Max Design and Showcase. And the last one is how collaborative they are. So when you look at the integration of cloud technology into Autodesk's software suite of solutions, we now have the ability to share information amongst design team members, amongst our organization, and even, ourselves, where we can push information up to the cloud and then access that information from almost any kind of device from anywhere we are at any time that we need access to that information. So again, the 3 kind of key takeaways are the integration, the interoperability, and the collaboration. So with that, I want to introduce Don Interdonato. Don is a resident MEP engineer. He is a senior consultant with MicroDesk, and he specializes in Revit MEP and AutoCAD MEP. So with that, Don, I'll turn it over to you.
Thank you, Mike, and welcome, everyone. Again, my name is Don Interdonato, and I'm a senior consultant here at MicroDesk. And today I'll be taking you through a tour of the new features within Revit MEP 2013. And looking at some of the key features here, what really you can expect is a much more focused integration package. And with that simply comes a larger resource of modeling tools that are now available within the platform itself. And being that This is now part of the Revit One Box. We have the capability now to access tools that were not available there in the past, and it really allows for more utilization for all the trades, and that really encompasses enhanced information modeling. So let's talk a bit about Revit One Box. All right, so in Revit One Box, you really have access to all tools and functionality from all of the Revit products. And looking at such things as access from tools from all different types of disciplines, right down to assigning view templates to views, and even editing parts, and shape handles, and improved visualization graphics. As well, with new enhanced modeling tools, these powerful tools such as a new materials data model, which we'll touch on a little bit, and things like improved pipe and duct settings and routing, pressure calcs to ASHRAE duct fitting databases that are now incorporated. And last but not least, interoperability. And the bottom line here is better integration and better analysis. And we'll see that with more seamless model exports to Navisworks and 3D Studio Max, more conversions, improved DWF and DWG export and import enhancements, and the IFC interoperability improvements. So that takes me into more enhanced modeling tools. So things, what are new? So things like the loop leader, different design aspects that really enhance how quickly we can get the design and the visualization to occur. Symbology enhancements, we'll find those through the duct system types, as well as diameter symbol prefixes now that are be found inside. So a lot of these different design characteristics have been added into that modeling process. And then moving forward to improved information modeling. So here we find really a real host of new options to work with, and especially materials. And something like the new materials data model, which really incorporates an extended set of material assets applied to projects and logical combinations for a range of different purposes. And so what I'm really talking about is energy analysis here and thermal for the whole building. We can actually delineate that down to thermal properties data and facilitate easier and faster heating and cooling load calculations, energy analysis, and GB XML support and export. And thermal properties data really is going to enable us to dig deeper and put these characteristics inside of walls, floors, and roofs where that possibility wasn't there in the past. So what I'm going to do is really just give you a little tour around some of the new aspects that we've been talking about, just to touch on some of those, and really just taking a look at the screenshot too here. The visualization capabilities, the rendering capabilities are much more enhanced now. So we're looking at a rendering in Revit MEP, and it really enables us for a better visualization for our final product. So some of the things I'm going to be talking about here is going to touch on pipe routing and duct routing preferences. Traditionally, when we were looking at the mechanical settings where it contained all of our duct preferences and our pipe routing preferences, these pipe lists of mechanical settings, what we have now is the ability to really dig into the types and assign materials and schedule type combinations, which are unique to pipe segments now. So the connection types really have been removed, and new materials and schedule types can really just be created either through the mechanical settings dialog box. And furthering that along, we can actually add those materials to those pipes. So as we can see with some of this, some of the demo that's moving across the screen, you can see how we can begin to add those into our different pipe systems. So taking a look at what a typical fan coil unit, traditionally in the past, we'd have to really modify specific types of piping before we could actually go in and route them. So we'd have a real large combination of different types of systems. The flexibility now with the pipe routing preferences is that we can actually go in, we can find the type that we want to use, and we can go and make those modifications pretty much on the fly through the type properties. So once we run into our routing preferences, we have the ability here to go and look through segments and sizes, or even go externally and load a particular family. And so if we have something that's externally created, if we've downloaded content and made modifications to it, we now can bring that in and we can decide whether or not we want to use certain pieces and how we want to delineate those. So here as an example, we're just going to take a look at copper K. As we look at the copper K settings, going back to the fan coil unit, I needed a 5/8 of an inch pipe for the connection to the unit. And previously, that wasn't available without me having to route it through the MEP settings and then going and saving it. Here I can actually go in, include that diameter, the inside and outside diameter, and associate it specifically to a copper K, and even further that to specific types of segments. So we can break this down even further based upon the types of descriptions that we give it. So as we come back in, we notice that that minimum size underneath that for that particular pipe or elbow, we now find that 5/8 size that's there. And we can also set an all or none range. So setting a criteria size to none is useful when modifying fittings after a layout, since there is a new option that allows that association for these currently used pipe routing preferences. So what you can see as I come back and I make those connections from the unit, it's seamless without that transition, and now I have that 5/8 of an inch diameter pipe that I was looking for associated to that particular copper K. So we can really catalog those system types moving further inside of our designs. So as we move along over to the Duct Work system, a really excellent enhancement to Revit MEP for 2013 is the ability to actually manipulate calculation points for air terminals and even for lighting devices. So you can see here that we're looking at the CFM that was being delivered from the air terminal, which was 150 CFM. And then as we were looking at the space, we saw that within the space, it was registering that there was nothing showing up for actual. But since we have around a calculated load on the space, we have 513 CFM for delivery. So the room calculation point, in some cases, we can now replace families by actually modifying the connectors inside of the family itself and then setting the value so that the particular piece now resides inside the space by turning on a room calculation point. So once that room calculation point is activated and we set a depth that we would want so we can bring that in, we can then update all of the air terminals inside, and we should get now a reading that actually gives us an actual based upon where those calculation points have been placed. And this is in specific cases where if the actual boundaries of the space are less than where the air terminal is sitting. So if these don't match up, we can actually pull them into a space, and then we can find ourselves with a full calculation that we were expecting. So as we take a look at this in section view, we'll see that the air terminals and the space itself will then show up with that calculation. So there's that calculation point extension, and you can see that once we find the space and it's selected, that it now resides inside of that space, and that we're now seeing that full 600 CFM. So extremely useful tools, definitely from the design standpoint of being enabling our designs to meet criteria that we've been specifically given when we do have different types of geometries for certain types of spaces. So the editor location of the point, so that that point will reside in the space. So with that in mind, we'll move along next to pressure loss reports. So this is this is a fantastic feature now that's been added into Revit MEP. And the pressure loss reports can now be generated for single ducts or for pipe systems or even multiple systems. And you can see that we have the capability of setting the selection and even furthering that and filtering out the types that we want to run that pressure loss report on. And the nice thing is, once we get all of these systems defined, we can create the different fields that we want to add to our report. And this will be populated to an HTML format. So after we select that, we're just going to save that report. And now we get a better idea of exactly what's occurring in there. And we get a total pressure loss calculation by all the sections within. So you can see that under the elements, we have our flow. It's giving us the number of sections. As well, it's giving us detailed information for straight segments by the section. So you can see that through element ID again, and flow, velocity pressures, length, and pressure drops. And really the pressure loss calculations are true value add to Revit MEP due to the ability to generate a virtual pressure report prior to the field installation. So there are numerous benefits here being leveraged, and especially starting with designers, their ability to accurately delineate airflow requirements in duct systems under that construction. So just to recap, we've taken a look at some of the key new features. And first and foremost, obviously that being the Revit One-Box platform is a single source of that interoperability. And with the integration of new modeling tools, workflow is effectively increased and design is optimized, which results, bottom line, in better building information modeling. And with that, I'd like to thank everyone for stopping in and turn this back over to Mike.
Okay, thanks so much, Don. Great job. Certainly looks like there's quite a bit of improvement in Revit MEP 2013. A couple of things that I wanted to note. Don talked quite a bit about Revit One-Box, and Revit One-Box is the new version of Revit MEP 2013 that ships within both the Building Design Suite Premium and the Building Design Suite Ultimate. When you purchase Revit MEP 2013, outside of the suite, you still will get the traditional Revit MEP 2013 and not One-Box. I wanted to talk, Don kind of briefly talked a little bit about the interoperability, but I wanted to kind of reiterate the fact that one of the great enhancements to 2013 is that Navisworks, Showcase, and Max Design now open RVT files directly. So there's no longer a need to export from Revit for rendering, for coordination and construction analysis and clash detection, or for quick visualization in an application like Showcase. That's really significant because now when you think about it, whether you're doing it within your own organization or you're sending an RVT file out for use by a contractor, by a subcontractor, you no longer have to export it and go through all the processes of breaking the model up by level, etc. When you open that RVT file in Navisworks, it will read the entire Revit structure, including all of the levels and all of the views, and really simplifies that process of creating selection sets for coordination. Okay, as we move along here, some of the logistics around this particular webcast and future webcasts is that if you're interested in more information and a more in-depth look at Revit MEP and all of the new features, please take a look at microdesk.com. There will be in-depth webinars being held throughout the month of May. And if you're looking for information more immediately on Revit MEP, please reach out to us. You can get us at the number that you see there or at info@microdesk.com, or you can certainly email any of us here at MicroDesk, and we'll get that information to you. Key takeaways. Again, Don showed some of the enhanced design capabilities, some of the enhanced documentation capabilities. He showed the fact that we can apply significantly more information from an MEP perspective into our designs for analysis. But the real key takeaways, I think, are how well integrated the products are, how well they interoperate when you think about reading those RPT files directly. And I also wanted to touch just briefly on the collaboration side of it and Autodesk Cloud offering, which they've named Autodesk 360. And what our Autodesk 360 allows us to do is it allows us to basically offload all of our rendering requirements and many of our analyses requirements, including energy analysis, out to a cloud computing environment. And the significance behind that is that we can simply upload our model to the cloud. We can render it and or run our energy analysis without having to use internal computing power and without having to take time away from our design and documentation process. So we can continue to design within the model while we're running an energy analysis or while we're running renderings. When you look at the design suites, both Design Suite Premium and Design Suite Ultimate, we get significant increases in the amount of storage space we have in the cloud and in the amount of computing power, the number of computing cycles that we have available to us via the cloud. So real significant offerings when you think of the entire product suite. Okay, with that, I want to thank everybody for attending. I want to thank you for your time this afternoon. We always very much appreciate any feedback. Please reach out to us and provide us anything about this particular session or about what you've heard or any other topics related to design and construction in the AEC industry. With that, we have our next session coming up at 2 o'clock, and it is going to be AutoCAD and AutoCAD architecture. But again, thank you. Have a great afternoon, and we look forward to talking to you in the future. Bye-bye.